And it's so well done that I just play it anyway. I just murdered that fish. I'm so sorry.
What's up, Internet? I'm Ariel Edwards. I get nerdy nightly, and I thought I'd share it with you. Welcome to my very first video game review on the Nerdy Nightly channel. For those of you who don't know, I was obsessed with Subnautica after the first time I streamed it. My community actually bought me the game, which was really amazing of them. They were convinced that this would be a game that I would really enjoy, and they were very much correct. From that very first moment, I was absolutely hooked, and I kind of became a Subnautica streamer for a few weeks. Subnautica is an exploration survival game and is definitely the best survival game I've ever played. The game begins in a life pod that is escaping from the main ship, the Aurora, which crash lands onto an alien water planet. The area around you, for the most part, is teeming with aquatic life. Some of these creatures are peaceful and beautiful, while others are absolutely terrifying, if still beautiful in a way. Your mission is to explore the planet, collect resources, build tools, and try and find a way to get home. This review will not contain any spoilers for the game or the story. I know that if I could go back in time, I would want to experience the game without any prior knowledge to the story. I think it was beautifully written, and my community did an amazing job protecting me from spoilers while I was playing the game. There were a few moments where I teared up, I got emotional, and I truly think the storyline in Subnautica deserves a 10 out of 10. You can play through the game in several different modes. The mode that I played was Survival Mode, which is the main mode for the game. Survival Mode means you have to be constantly consuming food and water, as well as you need to watch your oxygen levels. If you die, you simply reawaken at a nearby safe base, possibly having lost a few items. The more intense version of this is Hardcore. Basically, the difference is permadeath. And if you're like me, and that sounds absolutely terrifying, you can actually play through the game in a Freedom Mode. You can still die, no spoilers, but you no longer have to keep an eye on your food and water levels. The last mode is Creative Mode, which basically makes Subnautica a big ol' sandbox where you don't need to worry so much about the story or surviving, and you can just build and explore. One of my favorite things about Subnautica is that it really incentivizes exploration. You can't progress the story if you decide to stay in the safe shallows the whole time. Guilty. The game does not hold your hand and tell you where to go exactly, but it does give you enough information that you can progress the story forward. The more you explore, the more you build, the more you experiment, the more stuff you discover, and the easier the game becomes. Not everything in the game is essential for you to move forward. There were definitely some things I missed in my first playthrough, and I think that makes for really awesome replayability for a game like this. Despite being an indie game, Subnautica's visuals and soundtrack were a huge standout for me. The very first time that I saw the moon as I exited my life pod, I was speechless. It was really beautiful. Each biome is unique, creative, and well executed apart from the technical bugs that come with the game. The music and sound design is brilliant. When you first start the game, there's an ambiance to the sounds, and it puts you at ease. Then later on, when you need to push boundaries and explore, the music and the sound design does a great job of creating tension and keeping you on your toes. Subnautica is definitely not a horror game, but there were moments when I was absolutely terrified.
Ah!
What's happening?
What the hell? No! Stay away!
My only issues with the game were all technical. Occasionally, there were detrimental glitches in the game, which would cause you to lose important items or things that you had built throughout your journey. There were also textures that would appear very abruptly when traveling at faster speeds, but this ended up being quite jarring at times before I really had a moment to appreciate the beauty of the graphics. If you're planning on picking up Subnautica, which I highly recommend as long as you don't have a fear of deep water, then I have a few tips for you. These are the insights and helpful tips that my community provided for me that I'm now passing along to you. The first one is to read everything, and I mean everything, and then read it again. The game certainly doesn't hold your hand by any means, but it does provide you with all the information you need in your PDA, so please read it. In a similar vein, build everything. Build every tool that you can. You have no idea how it might help you throughout the game. And I recommend being prepared at all times. Another thing, don't be afraid to use your resources on building bases and things like that. The mechanics of it can be a bit tricky at times. However, if you use the deconstruct button, you get all your materials back without wasting any. So experiment, try building, and if you don't like it, just deconstruct it and build it somewhere else. My very last piece of advice is to be brave. Make sure you're well equipped and prepared, and go out of your comfort zone. I promise you'll get a better gaming experience out of it. This game is highly rewarding to the adventurous player. One of my goals is to go back and play Subnautica through and just be a little more brave this time. So those are just a few thoughts that I wanted to share with you about a game that I love passionately. I think Subnautica deserves high praise, and I cannot wait for Below Zero to be released fully. I might turn into a Subnautica streamer again for a few weeks when that comes out. If you like this review, please consider subscribing to the channel. You can find me at twitch.tv/ClarisDracaris for my live streams. I'm currently working on a new Skyrim build based on the Night King from Game of Thrones, which is a lot of fun. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias. I usually stream Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday every week. I also co-host the nightly morning show. That's over at twitch.tv/nerdynightly, where my husband and I wake up, share a morning coffee or tea, if you're like me and you don't drink coffee, and we discuss nerd news live on Twitch. We would love if you would come introduce yourself, say hi, and become a part of our nerdy community. As always, do something nerdy tonight. Bye. I don't know what to do.